Hello out there and welcome. My name is Sharon Froshin. I am the Chief Operating Officer for the Discover Your Path U platform, and we believe that every life can teach and everyone can grow. To that end, I am also the host of this show, The Connection Sessions, where we bring together practitioners, entrepreneurs, artists, marketers, spiritualists, mentors, and students in an effort to connect to community, learn from each other, and grow. Today, I have with me a huge treat for you guys, Discover Your Path U's astrologist. This is the woman that we turn to get an overall reading of our organization, to get an idea of where to turn for our organization. Our board of directors employ her services. She is an amazing woman who actually calls herself a spiritual systems analyst, which is an extremely fascinating idea. So today, she's here to discuss with us what spiritual systems are and what some of the spiritual systems are that she herself uses in her own career. So Alysa, without further ado, let us know how you got into this and how you really use this as a component of your business.
Well, okay, so first it's probably best to define what that actually is, because it's something of an amalgamation of many things. Because over the years, I've been a life coach, I became an astrologer, I'm a tarot reader of 25 years now, co-creator of two very well-selling decks, the Syrian Starseed Tarot, which is my first baby, and the Seeker's Oracle. And pretty much my whole life I was always doing things where people were coming to me looking for guidance, looking for answers, looking for some sort of pathway to take throughout their lives in order to find more happiness and contentment and direction in general. And so really over the last few years, I've been kind of thinking about, well, how do I bring all of these different modalities that I practice together in a way that can be sort of centralized and almost singular, or multifaceted and singular all at the same time. And really my perspective is that all human beings should be treated as holistic beings, because we're not just a singular system, right? So because of that, I incorporate my Reiki, because I'm a Reiki master. I incorporate astrology and tarot and all of these different modalities to sort of zero in and really fine-tune, target, what it is that a person is looking for, and help them find their path and how to sort of carry out the steps it takes to bring those things to fruition. So that's why I call myself a spiritual systems analyst, because really I'm using a lot of different systems and I'm analyzing a person's, position in life, where they're at and where to go and how to get there. So it just kind of made sense after spending a little bit of time in the corporate world, which was fun, not fun.
Soul-suckingly fun.
I appreciate the need for a little bit of structure, because I'm an artist. I'm someone who's always kind of done things my own way, which was fully reflected in my natal chart. Later on, when I learned to read a natal chart, I saw that. I'm like, yeah, no wonder. And so through a lot of self-discovery and then also helping other people, I kind of stumbled on this concept of being a systems analyst, because that's really what I'm doing, is the problems starting in the mind, the body, the soul, the emotional body, where are the challenges people that are experiencing. And then once we find them, what the hell do you do with them? And that's always the question. How did I get here now? How do I get out? And so I use all of these tools in conjunction, and I just kind of pick and choose based on what I know that person will resonate with most. And then with that, I give them some very actionable, steps to take towards finding their own pathway. Yeah.
That is a fantastic explanation. Thank you for that. Well, why don't we start with astrology, since that's something that you went into a little bit. As you and I both know, modern day astrology has become this former shell of itself, where we go into a newspaper and we look up our sun sign and read the horoscope for that day, and often comment how off that horoscope is. So if you wouldn't mind sharing with our viewers, what is a birth chart and why is current day astrology, especially here in Western society, really not anything like it actually is?
Well, I kind of personally feel like astrology, Western astrology, is seeing a resurgence in preparation for a renaissance. So it's actually a very exciting time, because I love the fact that people will come to me and they'll say, I just read in my horoscope today, when I read the back of the newspaper, that I was going to get this major promotion in my job, and I'm still working at McDonald's, or whatever. And the reality is that, the way horoscopes work, at least mass-produced horoscopes work, is they work with a whole house system. So we're really just kind of looking at things, from a very broad and general perspective, and we use a whole sign, and we're looking at, generally speaking, more or less, for 1/12 of the population, there's a probability that this may or may not happen, kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
That's why it doesn't always fit, and we read things and we're like, I don't know who you wrote this for, but it wasn't for me. Or sometimes it hits and you're like, oh my God, it's magic. So what's interesting about this time in the world that we're living in, because there's a lot of systems right now that are basically crumbling, falling apart. We see this in our government, we see this in our health systems, our education systems, even in our own personal systems. Like, the whole world's literally kind of becoming a shit show, which I'm like, I'm going, yay, this is awesome, because if we can move away from our fear, then we can see that this is an opportunity to reinvent, which I love, because that is, the matrix of growth is when things are really going to pot, then you can figure out, well, why is this happening? And so when we talk about astrology from the perspective of the 1/12 of the population, cookbook astrology, we can say that, yes, it's a bit discouraging, because I've been known to complain quite vocally about how Mercury retrograde has now become this pumpkin spice latte of astrology. Everybody is like, oh my God, it's like Mercury retrograde, I can't find my phone. Because it's kind of true. But the thing is people aren't really understanding what the energy is doing, why that influence is shifting and changing, and why it's interrupting your Netflix and chill sesh. We need to understand this in a different and more dynamic way than just saying, well, my life is screwed up because, the moon's in Aries today. So in some sense, yes, we're seeing astrology from a very topical perspective, because we've got social media to sort of, usher that in. But the good thing is that it's really sparking curiosity, and people are wanting to know more, and they're wanting to understand where all of this stuff germinated from, because we're in an epoch, or a shift, if you will, a change in paradigm, where we're going from an old system that is no longer sustainable for our current intelligence, for our current technology. And we're looking at the last, entire 26,000 years and going, yeah, that was fun, but there's some stuff we need to change, because those structures are no longer sustainable, not just to our mental, emotional, or physical well-being, but literally to the planet. And so because of it, we're in a position now where, again, everything is really in this giant slough mode. It's like, if you could imagine our planet being Big Bird, all the feathers are falling out. It's kind of ugly, not cute. But while we're going through that molt, the beautiful thing is now we can see everything in its most naked and primordial form. And when we do that, we can say, okay, well, I kind of like air. Air's good. How can we keep it cleaner? Food's excellent, And so when we start searching for ways to soothe the wound or heal ourselves as a collective, we're starting to search beyond the physical. We're starting to search beyond what we can quantify with a Newtonian perspective. Sorry, that was weird. Trying to swallow and there was nothing there. So essentially what's happening is now people are searching for a form of spirituality, a way or a pathway to connect to that which is ineffable, something that we all feel, but we have a really hard time articulating, because the old systems, churches, organized religion, the ways of our predecessors, our ancestors, are just not doing it. They're not sustainable in a society and in a world where everything happens like now. So we're having to stretch beyond what was our comfort zone and try to find something that we can grasp onto and say, well, this makes sense. This is something that resonates. This is something that wakes this up and turns this on and makes this go, whoa. So that's where, things like astrology or new forms or systems of belief is seeing this huge resurgence, because we know we have to change it. We know. I mean, it's beyond like, do you think something's different? we tripped that line fantastic a long time ago. So now we're in a place where we're finding these old systems, the things that have defied age and gravity. You know, and when we look at these things, we're like, wow, our ancestors, they survived in a world where all they had to navigate by was the stars. I went to, in 2014, my husband and I, we went out to, we were in Chichen Itza. It was amazing. It was totally amazing. But Coba, oh my God, I was in Coba and I'm like, I think I just came home for the first time in a while.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really cool because there was this path that was created by these ancestors, these our forebears, and it was created out of shell and limestone because at certain times it would actually light up, and it was a pathway that they could follow that would take them to Coba, 75 kilometers away, or miles, whatever it is, because I suck at geography, to Chichen Itza. And these folks, I mean, they weren't walking around going like, girl, my GPS is totally broken. Like, what do I do with this thing? You know, their GPS was right up there and right in here. And now we are coming to a place where we're having to integrate these external systems with these internal systems and survive. You know, because we're all a little schizo right now trying to figure out how that works. And so it's my thought that, you know, I don't think I'm, you know, the originator of this thought by any means, but I certainly feel that with things like astrology, we're able to tap into something, again, that defies the physical world that we exist in. And we feel that connection with the divine source creator that's like, hey, I remember you. I don't know what the hell to do with you, but I remember you. And so when we look at things like the birth chart, then we start to see the little trail of breadcrumbs that lead us home. And that is where the rubber hits the road. So what a birth is. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please, by all means, you talk away. I'm fangirling so hard right now. You just keep right on talking.
Well, thank you. The feeling's mutual. So with the birth chart, what we're looking at with the birth chart is we're seeing a snapshot of not just a few stars, but our entire solar system. So this is like our hood going and stopping just for a split second, literally. And when we see this happen, you know, from an earthborn perspective, or geocentric, because that's where we're looking out from, Galileo had an issue with that once upon a time with a certain organization through jail. But, you know, because we're looking at the solar system from a geocentric or earthborn perspective, then we're looking at all of the other planets from Earth, and we're saying, oh, that stopped there, and oh, that stopped there. And let me see if I might have my little book here. I don't know, which doesn't appear that I do. But if we've seen a horoscope or a birth chart, then we can see in Western astrology, it's a wheel. And that wheel consists of 12 houses. And each of those houses consists of, you know, a type of energy or an area of life that they rule. And so when a planet is traveling, is going about his, you know, affairs, being Mercury in retrograde, which my natal Mercury is in retrograde.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, right. I can never find my keys, so I don't know why everybody's complaining all the time. You know, my own bank account number.
You must spend the whole Mercury retrograde like wussies.
Whatever. I do this every day. No, I'm teasing. Actually, sometimes it really does. You know, it does rear its less than beautiful head. But so yeah. So when we look at a person's birth chart, what we're looking at is the harmonic. Okay, this is what is so cool, the harmonic, the actual vibrations that were present in a very physical way. We're not talking about like vibrations like, oh my God, I totally feel that. You know, we're talking like literally bong vibrations, right? When you hit a gong or you play the chords of a harp, you know, the strings of a harp or a guitar or a bang a drum, that's the vibration I'm talking about. It is palpable. It's something that you can physically feel. Ask your mama. Anyway, so when you decided you were going to incarnate into this lifetime through a multitude of reasonings, primarily to collect experience for growth and expansion of the entire of humanity and consciousness and your own. No small potatoes there. But anyway, this harmonic is sort of snapshotted or taken a picture of in your birth chart. And how that's done is by saying, well, I was sitting on Earth and I was having a baby at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in, you know, Hillsburg, Ontario. And on June 1st. So we take all of those things into account. We take the date, the time, and the place. We take those things into account, and then we can say, okay, solar system, pause for just a second. And it lovingly does so. And it shares with you, if you care to look, the secrets of your soul, the purpose of your journey, the influences that will help catapult you forward, for better or for worse, depending on your freedom of choice and how you choose to interact with these energies. Because I think it was Shakespeare that said, all the world's a stage and we are but players upon it.
Yes.
Girlfriend, that's your script. Hello. And so that's what makes it so dynamic, is when you sit down and you sit with your astrologer of choice. Of course, I'm always willing to volunteer my services.
Please take her up on that, guys.
It's a fascinating thing, because it's like, if you've been wandering around in your life and you're kind of like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with myself, but I really, really want to sell coconuts on the beach. I don't know why. And you're looking for validation in that. Like, why do I feel the way that I do? Why am I attracted to the things that I love? Why am I repelled by the things that I can't stand? All of that is eloquently narrated in your birth chart. And if you have someone that's able to sort of unearth that for you, or with you, is really how it's done, then you can start to see how you can take those energies that were at one time just sort of nebulous crap floating around in your head, and you're like, I don't know, you can take it and create some reality. Because that is the key factor, is that with any of these tools, it's all about creating reality. All of it, all the time, you know. So in a nutshell, a very small nutshell, that's what we're talking about when we're looking at astrology. And so now when I scroll through Facebook or Instagram, which I do way too much because I've got issues, no self-control. I'm seeing all of this stuff come forward. I'm seeing, younger generations talking about these things. I'm seeing older generations talking about these things, and people are really sort of gravitating towards this concept that there's more at play than that accidental particle collision. Like, how cool is that?
Really
that we have purpose. We have purpose. And it's not that hard to find, should you choose to look for it. And don't be afraid to ask for a little bit of help, because you'll have people like Sharon, people like myself, people like the rest of DYPU that are more than willing to say, I'll hold your hand and we can do this together. Just don't tell anybody if I'm, eat all the cookies.
I love that you brought up Newtonian Science. I'm currently in the process of writing a manuscript on ourselves and the hide and go seek game that we play in not knowing that we are really the universe, and how we hide and then seek to find it. And one of the prerequisites to even bringing this up is explaining how Newtonian science is defunct. That the idea that there are little apple pieces that make up an apple and little tree pieces that make up a tree isn't really relevant in today's science, especially not with our thorough exploration into quantum physics with things like the quantum observer and as well as quantum entanglement. So how do the spiritual systems that you work with kind of feed into and lean into quantum physics more than the old scientific ideal of everything being measurable and boxable for our viewing and experiencing pleasure?
Well, I'm kind of a funny duck, I guess, because I feel, and this has been exemplified for me and demonstrated for me in many, many ways in my own experience and with observing other people. So here's my Aquarius ascendant coming out.
Oh, get it, girl, get it.
I'm like, let me just observe that for a minute. But the idea is that in my mind, it's not really a matter of this or that in terms of there's no more room for Newtonian science, because I'm telling you, you stub your toe one time, that is a quantified measure of pain. Boom. It's going to be up in your face, and you're going to be like, this is not fun, I hate it. But what's immeasurable is the ripple effect from this perspective of that experience. And so really, we do have to kind of integrate both of those systems in order to be whole or holistic as human beings, because it's just like the male and female paradigm or polarity of energy. Yes. Newtonian Science recognizes that as expressive or receptive energy, like we're sending it out or we're bringing it in. Having been on both ends of that spectrum once or twice in my life, I've discovered that it is in fact integral to being a spiritual being. Because a lot of times what happens is we end up being the inverted tree. We end up having our roots so high up into the stratosphere, and we're trying so hard to reach out for our creator and trying to recognize it and have it recognize us back, that we've got our heads firmly planted in our butts or the dirt, take your pick. And it's my thought that the reality isn't external, nor is it completely internal. It's both, because we're literally here having this human experience for the purpose of having a human experience. You're going to cry. You're going to snot on people. You know, you're going to throw up, and maybe you'll hold somebody's hair back while they throw up. You're going to love. You're going to dance. You're going to sing. You're going to have all of these experiences that are intended, if you will, to teach us that we've never left. We've never gone anywhere. We are right with that which created us, because it lives within us all the time. And so really, it's when we're looking at things like the external world and trying to understand physics and why in some ways those models seem a little bit defunct, or even I don't know what the word for it is. It's just like they're useless now. Who cares? You know, like I said, stub your toe. Put up a shelf and forget it's there. You're going to get a reality check on why those things do exist, but they exist with purpose. Not that we're supposed to escape them so much as we are supposed to understand that the confinement that they provide, the containment that they provide, are literally there, so we learn that we don't really need them. We never did.
We're so much bigger than those things.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. But we're so much smaller too. It's a microcosm and a macrocosm all at the same time. I mean, the human body is a beautiful example of this, because, you know, my toe cells don't really care that I know they're there, but they do their job. Thank God, or I look kind of weird. You know, but they're part of, in my perspective anyway, they're part of the vehicle that allows the spiritual being, the mental being, the emotional being to drive around and do shit. You know, so then I know, like, oh, I'm here. I'm having this amazing conversation with my friend Sharon. You know.
And what's really awesome, and at the same time almost tragic about that, is that we're in the process right now of doing what so many species have done before us, which is specializing ourselves to extinction. So we have these cells, top to bottom. We have ear cells, we have leg cells, we have arm cells. And for at least the last 100 years, we've been specializing almost exclusively in the brain, which leads us to be living in a place where we're constantly have our face in something that feeds our brain, but starves our ability to remain healthy, to connect, to do any of the things that are integral for the rest of the body. So how does this study of spiritual systems and helping people find their own internal guidance as a result of, say, astrology or the divination of tarot, how does it help us return to a place where we're not uniquely specializing in what is actually a secondary organ of the body?
Yeah. So, so my thought with that is it's really all about understanding that the body it's there to guide those systems. So we've heard like the old, you know, bite the pickle, start salivating thing, right? You know, everybody's heard about that one. In the same way, our body works in a lot of very subtle, almost imperceptible ways sometimes. And that's where we start to see disease show up, is when we're like, la, 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 I'm not listening, you know, but it does things to show us that. And so when we're using tools like astrology, or we're using tools like, you know, tarot, it's like astrology has a whole vein or channel of work where you can literally focus on the body, and the body will tell you. It's like, as a Virgo, I know that, you know, my stomach is one of those areas Virgo rules. It's like, hey, feeling a little nervous? Because if you are, guess what? The bathroom, you know. Or you're like, yeah, you know, a Pisces person, they're being ruled by their ankle, or the Pisces rules the ankles, you know, in the lower extremities and that kind of stuff. And so, you know, the ancients, or our ancestors, you know, they kind of made all of these connections, and they started to understand that everything is so bloody interconnected. We've been, as you said, in a way, trying very, very hard to extract ourselves from that connection. And that's why I said right now, which is really a magical time to be alive, we are starting to go, that's really not working. And so we're seeking out external ways, astrology, tarot, coaching, veganism, non-veganism, you pick your ism. We're seeking out these ways to reclaim that which is already on board, and that is knowing that we need sunshine and oxygen. I mean, I'm pretty pale, but damn, I've seen people a lot more pale than me. And, we need to interact with nature, because nature is not only what feeds us, but we feed it. It's a symbiotic relationship.
It is.
And we have to understand that even with our electronics, those are externalizations of things that happen internally anyway. So it's like we're constantly trying to reach out and find these things. And so when I sit down with somebody and I start talking to them and they're like, I'm unhappy. I'm really unhappy. I don't know if I should start this business. I don't know if I should leave my spouse. I don't know, like I feel sick all the time. I'm tired all the time. I'll ask them, well, what do you want? I just look people dead in the face and everybody's like, to be happy. It's because we lack definition in many ways, is what I have found to have been rather consistent. And so what I mean by that is I always tell people, if you want to be happy, what does that look like? What does that actually mean? Because when I'm hungry, peanut butter jelly sandwich is going to make me all kinds of happy. Because I'm feeding the body. And in that way, if you're unhappy in your relationship, how are you nourishing your heart? If you're unhappy with your career prospects, how are you nourishing your soul? There's all of these systems that are talking to you all the time. And if you're busy looking externally and saying, well, something out over here is going to fix that, I'm going to scroll through Facebook until I find that answer, it's okay to do that. I would never say don't do that. But what I would say is when you find something that you react to, that you respond to, that you have an autonomic response to, you need to listen. It's kind of like pollen and sneezing. You're not going to stop that train, but, because your body's telling you something. And I learned that a lot in my life. That's why I don't mow the lawn, but that's not the point. The point is that when we're in this space and we're trying to find happiness, joy, fulfillment, feeling balanced, connected, all of these things, there is 1,000,001 things that are going to teach you how to do that if you will slow your butt down just for 5 minutes and listen. If you feel unhappy, where is it showing up in your body? That is one system. If you're unhappy, where is it showing up in your emotions? There's another system. You want to know how to undo that? Fine, let's sit down and look at your astrological chart, your birth chart, and see what harmonic you were born with. What is the right tune? How are you going to tune yourself up? So that way when you're expressing yourself, that you are connected into those things that you were brought here by your own admission or not. Your choice.
Okay. I know I'm going to catch crap from a lot of the viewers because you have a conversation going, baby girl, here in chat. But this is the end of our half hour. And just so you guys don't kill me, I just want you to know, if you are not currently a member of the North Star Mystic group and like what you heard here today, may I suggest that you take your happy ass onto Facebook and join the North Star Mystic group, because this woman does lives just like this on a regular basis in that group, and they are flat out addictive. So
semi-regular, because I'm human and I have to. I just told my husband tonight, I'm like, don't know if you got plans, but it's me and my Nintendo later. Because I like to reach externally for joy, and that gives me happiness.
Heck
so
yeah.
I do. Nothing wrong with that. And anybody tells you otherwise, you don't need that kind of shit in your life. Move on.
You don't need that kind of negativity.
You got that.
All of Alysa's contact information, including her website, her Facebook page, and her personal profile, are all attached to this Facebook Live. Guys, I am serious as a heart attack when I say DYPU literally employs this woman to help us with finding our own way, figuring out where we're going, and we would highly recommend using her if there's something that you need to figure out, that you're trying to figure out. Hit her up on her page, message her on her profile, check out her website. This is a woman who is down and dirty connected with the pulse of what is going on right now and can help get you there too. So if you are interested in figuring that out and being more present in a world that seems to be more and more trying to pull us out of our existence, this is the lady to connect with. So to all of our viewers, to Andrea, to Margaret, to Sarah, to Monique, to Ashley, to everybody, and I do mean everybody who showed up today to watch this, thank you for being with us. And please go become a member of that group and hang out with Alyssa, because she is life-changing. If you catch this live after we're no longer here live on Facebook, drop us a hashtag replay. Let us know what your comments and your thoughts are so that we can connect to you, kind of get to know you better and offer you some guidance. So as always, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for being with us, and we will be back here, same place, same time tomorrow. As always, you know I love you. We'll see you
Thanks
later.
so much for having me.
Oh, of course. We'll see you guys later.
Take care. Have a great day.